The Rollei 35 AF is a brand new 35mm full frame camera in 2024. In this video, I'm going to give you a tour around the camera, talk about what I like, talk about what I don't like, and bring it on a cross-country road trip with me to really get a ton of photos out of this camera and put it through its paces. Right off the bat, I want to say that I'm a little conflicted on this camera. There's a lot of things that I really love about it and a lot of things that I don't love about it. I had a ton of fun shooting with this camera, and although it's incredibly expensive at $800 and it's got its fair share of issues which we'll get into, I have a ton of respect for Mint Camera for bringing this to market. It's a brand new 35mm camera in 2024 that shoots full frame with autofocus, full manual controls, and it's in this incredibly charming and cute little body. This thing gets complimented every time I have it with me, and I hope this is just the beginning for Mint and other manufacturers to start producing 35mm cameras like this, because this thing is fantastic. I'll start this video by giving you a little bit of a tour around this camera. So on the front, you have your aperture and shutter speed dials for full manual control. On the top here, you have a viewfinder, a flash, the LiDAR sensor, and then a self-timer button, which I've never actually gotten to work properly. On the bottom, there's a rewind mechanism and the release to reload the film. And then up top, you've got the on-off switch right here, an LCD screen, and the film advance mechanism on the left side of the camera, which is a little controversial. If you press the shutter button and take a picture, the shutter button actually stays down until you rewind the camera. Now, another problem that I've had is that when there's film in here, you have to put quite a lot of force on this mechanism, and this rewind is really, really sharp. The autofocus, as you may have heard, is quite loud, and this is a little unfair because it's focusing at a really up close distance. If you actually just point this at infinity, it's super snappy and quick, and I really don't have an issue. I actually think the autofocus is one of the best features of this camera. Another major complaint that I have is that this camera is really hard to load, especially fitting it back on. Crunches into place. I still can't even do it. There we go. Now it's fully seated, but it feels like you're gonna break it, and it doesn't make very nice noises. I've also had just a really difficult time loading this camera. I've loaded so many 35mm cameras, and something about the way this spool picks up the film isn't right yet. With all that being said, I actually really like this camera. I think the design is incredibly charming, super nice to look at. Some people don't like the fact that they've tried to mimic an old camera with this thing, but I think it's incredibly compact, and even though I never shot with the original Rollei 35, and I know this is technically a little bit bigger, when I first took this out of the box, I was really surprised by how small it is, and I think it's a really impressive thing to pull off manufacturing this thing, because when you pick it up, immediately you notice that not a single part of this camera is a recycled design. This is completely new from the ground up, and for the first generation, I think they've done a really nice job. This is such an incredibly complex little piece of camera equipment, which it doesn't seem like because it's disguised in such a cute little vintage looking shell, but this really is quite an achievement as far as engineering a brand new camera by a small company. I think it's really impressive. My favorite thing about this camera is actually the autofocus. It might be a little loud, and when it's shooting something up close, it's a little slow, but at infinity, where I'm shooting most of the time, it's really snappy. And because it's LiDAR, it's also super accurate. Unlike a traditional 35mm point and shoot, you don't need a sharp line or a point of contrast for this thing to be able to focus. It focuses using lasers to gauge the distance, and that means you could point it at a blank wall like my ceiling, and it'll get it right away. No problems. You learn to use the sound that this makes as kind of a way to gauge what distance it's focusing at. So a long focus pull like that means it's focusing up close, and a short and snappy one like that means it's focusing closer to infinity. I put about 7 rolls through this thing and it never missed a single frame, which is incredibly impressive. Although it's got a lot of quirks and little things that make it a little bit tricky to use and it's kind of not the best build quality, I think when I got the photos back is when my mind changed completely on this camera. The image quality is exceptional. It's up there with the best point and shoots that I've used. It's a 5-element glass lens. And like I said, the autofocus was spot on, which I can't really say I've experienced to this extent with any other point and shoot camera. As soon as I saw the photos, I knew that this camera was something special, which was quite contradictory to my first impressions of it, where it felt kind of cheap and I really wasn't that impressed with the build quality or the really sharp winding mechanism. There are some issues with it though, and I guess the first one would be the price point. I understand why this camera has to be $800. It's a brand new piece of technology. I can't even imagine the tooling costs that they've had to take on for all of these different parts that make up this camera. But I think at $800, there's a lot of competitive options, especially on the secondhand market. I think if you're buying this camera right now, it's almost like you're investing in mint and investing in the market for new 35mm cameras. I would compare it to like maybe buying the first car from an electric company like Rivian. You know that you're not getting the best price. You know that there are going to be issues with it because it's a brand new complex design, and you know that there are going to be better versions that come out shortly after. But I also think it's kind of an investment, and it's kind of backing the market for something like this and backing Mint as a company for taking on a challenge like this. I brought this thing with me on a cross-country drive in a car that I had bought 4 days prior and spent 4 days tearing apart the engine for some videos on my second car channel. So this is a little preview. And with that being said, this thing lived in that car for the entire week of driving across the country, and I took a ton of photos on it and really just learned to love this camera. Here, take a look at this. Do you know about this?
I have seen these. Is this new?
Yeah, new. Yeah.
What's new about it?
It's autofocus. It's...
Oh, the digital...
Yeah, a little digi.
Wait. So it's literally just point and shoot?
Yeah, but...
Wait, what's the aperture?
You gotta set it to flash off or flash on, and then aperture
Okay.
you choose right there. So that's it. It's at the top.
Oh, there it is. No freaking way.
And then you wind it.
On the left? That feels wrong. That feels wrong. That's over here. Dude, this is a great gift for me for letting you stay in this place. That's awesome, dude. It's so sick.
What do you think it costs? Price point.
Plastic. I'm going to go ahead and say the Rollei 35 autofocus. I'm going to say this is either, I have two prices in mind. It's either like $799, $899, or it's like $1,200.
It's 800.
Okay.
Oh wow, I'm surprised.
It was either going to be like way too expensive for what it is, like the 1,200 range, or they could have gone, the 800 route, which it sounds like that's.
So how do you feel about it? How does it feel?
It feels really good. I actually like it. Is this the
LiDAR.
Yep.
So it's like,
Wow. No, I mean, the fact that it's autofocus too, like, you can hear the shutter. Oh, wait, and so you can also change the ISO. So if I put portfolio
Yeah.
and I want to shoot at 200, 100, you
Yeah.
can set it. I mean, and it has no flash, or it does?
it does have a flash, yeah. Okay,
Dude,
okay,
I like
okay.
it. I love it. Because I also,
Okay.
when I saw you shooting with it outside of the car, I was like, oh, like, he has one of the old Rolleis. Like, I
Yeah.
had no idea that I don't know where the hell I've been. That
Yeah.
They dropped a new one, but that's so sick. Only thing I don't like is that the winder's on the left side. Is that how
That's
it
the
originally
classic
is?
design,
Okay,
yeah.
well, I guess
I agree
I'm,
with that,
I'm
though.
just used to it being on the right side.
Yeah.
But if that's the only thing I'm kind of not stoked about,
Yeah.
I think they've done a really good job.
Sick.
No, this is sick.
Unplanned, the perfect coffee placement. It's just what you get when you hang out with IOE, man. Oh man.
It's hard to have an idea of which direction to go.
All right, you've shot with it.
Yeah.
What's the review?
Dang, I think I finished the roll on it. I like you can see all the aperture settings
Yeah.
and shutter speed settings and such. I like how haptic this is. But the winding, man, has got to be...
Yeah,
That's exactly what I said.
yeah. You like it?
Yeah.
You don't?
I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, for sure. Last thing is, what do you think the price is on it? Do you know the price?
No, I've actually never heard of this camera.
Take a guess, take a guess. Joe guessed right, spot on, first time, which was impressive.
I'm going to say 225.
Wow. $7.99.
You won't be able to brag.
feel like it's
more
cohesive.
So good. The light blocking on his face, the dog, the cow.
I made it to Memphis in Tennessee to take a photo that I've been wanting to take for like 3 or 4 years now. It's a photo of a freeway interchange. Oh, I hope it's open. Oh, baby. Cue some very American music right now. Egypt has pyramids. America has a Bass Pro Shop. And not just any Bass Pro Shop, a Bass Pro Shop in the middle of a giant interchange. This camera became a fantastic companion on my road trip as soon as I stopped treating it like it should be more than what it sets out to do. This is a simple point and shoot 35mm camera. It's really good at doing exactly that. You see something cool on the side of the road and you point at it and you click it, and that's it. It takes the photo very well. The internal metering is very accurate. The autofocus is very accurate. And other than two strange little flares, pretty much every single image from this camera turned out perfectly. The flash also came in really handy at times, and it's super easy to determine whether you want it off or on by just moving this switch. And like I said, I think if you give Mint your $800 right now, you should not expect a perfect camera right off the bat, but you give them your $800 because you want to invest in them and because you want to invest in the market for new products like this. That being said, this thing is already sold out. I don't think they'll be opening up pre-orders for many more months actually, because this thing was such a success. I love this camera. I will continue to shoot with it, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. A huge thank you to you guys for watching this video, and finally a thank you to the sponsor of this channel, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one website building platform that you can use to build your photography portfolio online. I've been using Squarespace for so many years now, and they've made it so incredibly easy to build a website for my photography. My personal website features a ton of different projects that I've shot over the years, both personal and commissioned projects, and I even use it as a platform to sell my photography books and prints. If that sounds interesting, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.
What up, Mr. Baklava? We haven't seen you in a while. It's great to see that smile. Your hair looks wonderful. Let me push this chair up under you. The weather's beautiful. You must have brought the sun with you. You're getting slimmer.